to the most important topic of today, which is your delimitation exercise. See, as we know that elections are approaching in 2024, and delimitation exercise is expected to be held post 2026. Okay, this is as per the constitutional provision that we'll be discussing in a while. But here you need to understand that our census was expected to be conducted in 2021, but it was postponed due to COVID. First, due to COVID, and because if you remember at that time we had in news that the census exercise has been stalled by the government, and post this there was some governmental delays due to which it never came into picture again. So it is expected to come at around 2026. Otherwise, in normal circumstances, 2021, and then it was supposed to be happening in 2031. So the delimitation exercise that was to be happening after 2026, that was to be happen after 2026, was to be based on 2031. Okay, but now it will be somewhere, it will be surrounding this delayed census. Okay, so what is delimitation we'll be discussing here. See, delimitation simply means that you fix the number of seats and boundaries of territorial constituencies for the election to be held for Lok Sabha or state legislative assemblies. Okay, see what happened is, say for example, this is your um, any geographical location, and you have to have elections on say 50 seats from this. Then you will divide this particular place into numerous 50 seats, and on each of these seats you will have elections conducted. Okay, but how do you divide this? And this exercise of dividing the territorial and boundaries of a particular constituency, you cannot say na कि 4-4 किलोमीटर पे एक बना देते हैं. You cannot say, right? You have to divide it on the basis of population. And why population? Because India is a democracy, and democracy simply means rule of people. So people are going to vote for the representative. It's not the geographical division. It is basically division of the people into certain territorial constituency, and then they vote for their representative from that constituency, and that representative is responsible for the growth of that particular constituencies, right? So on this basis, every state is given some of the seats in the Lok Sabha, and similarly, within a state, division is occur in a separate manner for the legislative assembly elections. And on this basis only, seats are reserved for SCs and STs. And why are we reserving these seats? As per the constitutional provision, according to the population and the seats which are basically decided by this delimitation commission. Now, what is the rationale behind the delimitation? As we discussed, rule of people, and then we want to ensure this principle that one citizen, one vote, one value. It's like ki everybody in India who is more than 18 years of age is allowed to vote. Okay. Now what you want to ensure is कि अगर if एक इंसान है तो उसका वोट का वैल्यू बराबर है. हर इंडिविजुअल का वोट का वैल्यू बराबर होना चाहिए और हर इंडिविजुअल को एक ही वोट डालने का अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलना चाहिए. ओके, दैट इज व्हाई यू डिवाइड देम इनटू कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी. ओके, सो दैट इज व्हाई ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए ना कि इफ समबडी इज फ्रॉम दिस हरियाणा से फॉर एग्जांपल उसका वोट का वैल्यू अलग हो, समबडी फ्रॉम यूपी उसका वोट का वैल्यू अलग हो. Everybody should have an equal vote value. Okay, that is why you have this one citizen, one vote, and one value. Now, let's see the constitutional provision. Constitution के अंदर two articles, Article 82 and Article 170, they deals with the delimitation, which is it is Article 82 deals with delimitation of seats for Lok Sabha. Article 170 deals with delimitation with respect to state legislature. Okay, and it also says that these seats are to be readjusted after every census, as a result of which in 1951, 1961, 71, the seats were readjusted after every census. Okay, and this is performed by Delimitation Commission, which is a statutory body set up by the Act of Parliament. Delimitation Act. Okay, so it is a statutory body. However, what happened in 1971? We faced a huge explosion of population in India. However, that explosion of population was not same for all the states. Say, for example, if you talk today, the population of UP is highest, which is about 20 to 23 crores. Okay. And if you see southern states or states in northeast, they are catering to very less population, right? So you cannot give a enormous amount of seats to the highly populated state. So that is why what happened is the law was passed, and as per the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, the delimitation exercise was frozen on the basis of 1971 census till 2000. और उनका उम्मीद थी कि by then we'll be able to control population, and if you see, it was during this phase that many population control measures were brought in. However, they were not this successful, and the population still exploded, as a result of which again in 2000 another bill was passed, which was 84th Constitutional Amendment Bill, and it froze again the delimitation till 2026. And reason kya tha? As we discussed, population control, and they wanted to reward the better performing state. See, for example, the better performing states are the states, अगर आपने फाइनेंस कमीशन भी पढ़ा है उसमें डेवोल्यूशन के बेसिस भी होता है पॉपुलेशन मेजर कंट्रोल का. सो इफ अ स्टेट विच इज नॉट परफॉर्मिंग गुड in terms of population control will be rewarded with more number of seats, and more number of seats simply means more say in the decision making of the governance. Okay, and the state which are actually better performing in terms of population control measures and which have low population within them, which are performing good in terms of administration, will be penalized for performing better, because they will have less say when it comes to their legislature making in terms of governance. Okay, so, and what will happen, you will not be able to respect diverse voices also. If the majority is coming from one region, the chances is the policy going in favor of that region will increase. So you will not be able to appreciate diversity in the true sense of it, and again it will go to against the principle of federalism. So these were the reasons behind that they froze the it to 1971 census. Okay, to exclude to a certain extent the population irregularities within the state. However, internal reorganizations were adjusted on the basis of 2001 census. What does that mean? It simply means, say, this is a region, these are the your subunits of it. So if this area has 10 seats, this has 8 seats on the basis of population earlier. This has 9 seats, this has again 8 seats, 7 seats, 6 seats. So they ensure that the number of seats in each area remain the same. Okay? And consider these areas as state and this is as the country. However, in this, if say one, if you are taking this example, so if earlier the division was such in this manner, okay, division was in this manner, now they were allowed to reorganize into a different manner. So internal reorganization of state was allowed, but number of seats vis-a-vis the number of vis-a-vis the states were not allowed to change, so that the value of vote doesn't alter. Okay, so this was done to also to maintain interstate parity. So if you see, now if delimitation is to occur now, so what are the option available? How do you think, considering as we discussed today also, there are some states with extremely high population such as In you have Rajasthan, you have Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, this the heavily populated state, and then there are states with very less population, like the states in south, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and all. So the first option that the article is suggesting is like that you continue with the existing seats and their redistribution. There is no change, as we have frozen so far, will continue the same way. Or the other way is, because the population has increased, you also increase the number of seats in the Lok Sabha. ठीक है? And it has to be a proper proportionate distribution with respect to various states. However, if we do these two things, it will again go back to the same issue that we discussed: population control, lack of federal balance, and not appreciating the voice of diversity. Because if you increase the number of states, it will eventually more seats will go to the heavily populated states. Okay, so again, the purpose of freezing the seats so far will get defeated. So this is an issue with these two kind of arrangement. And if you see the international practice, if you see, we'll take example of US and UK, EU. US के अंदर they have frozen the number of seats, total number of seats they have frozen. However, they redistribute seats on the basis of population, which is referred to as equal proportion. However, since the population in those cities, those states are more or less similar, so it doesn't actually affect the federal balance of the states. However, if you see the EU, there they are following a principle of digressive proportionality. Now, what does this mean? This means that the ratio of population to the number of state shall increase as the population increases. Say for example, अगर हम बात करते हैं यहाँ पे डेनमार्क का एग्जाम्पल है, इसके पास 60 lakhs के ऊपर 15 सीट्स हैं. हावेवर इफ यू सी जर्मनी, उसके पास 8.4 करोड़ के ऊपर कुछ 84 सीट्स हैं. सो यहाँ पे एक सीट 4 लाख लोगों को रिप्रेजेंट कर रही है, वहां पे एक सीट 8 लाख को रिप्रेजेंट कर रही है. सो वहां पे इक्वली वोट नहीं, डिविजन है वहां पे पॉपुलेशन के ऊपर. ओके, however जो smaller populated seat हैं, they have relatively more number of seat uh, as comparison to the states with high population. So what is the way forward suggested? It suggested that you keep the member of parliament same, you keep the Lok Sabha division same, there is no need to change that. However, it says that the increase in number of MLA without altering the seats in Rajya Sabha, that you increase the state representation, number of seats in states should be increased. ठीक है? सेंटर के अंदर no need to change the arrangement, but within state you change the arrangement so that the voice of people is catered by the state government, because they are responsible for day-to-day law and order situation, day-to-day policy making of that particular state. However, center take more decision with respect to defense, foreign policy, taxation, which are more critical area and which is uniform for the entire country. You need not change the system which is in the center to get, so that it doesn't get skewed in favor of one. However, in state you can change, but do not alter the seats in the Rajya Sabha. And one important and the very beautiful point that I liked personally in this article was democratic and federal principle are seem to be at loggerheads. Why democratic? Because uh, participation of or rule of people. Rule for, rule of, rule by the people. So that is why democratic plus federal, that means equal distribution between the state, between state and center and state and state. So here there is a clear uh, uh, principal bias which is seen. Okay, so This was it for today. We have discussed delimitation exercise in detail. This is very important for your prelims as well as your mains.